Hey you guys, it's Halo.
And Chief.
And we have some exciting news. We are heading back to the trail this week for a 4-day, 3-night, 82-mile section down in Northern California. You guys will remember during the crazy heat wave of 2021, we skipped over to Dunsmuir and went up into the Trinity Alps because the air was literally on fire. So that means another video from us. But first, we've got this one and some viewer questions. Cool food prep on this one. This is a big Mexican corn pie that I made, and it's over here in the dehydrator. We're getting to dehydrate some of our own food. So that's dehydrating down, and then we're probably going to dehydrate some other stuff. So that's fun. Okay, we are picking up from where we left off. What advice would you give folks 50 plus, maybe even 60 plus, considering the PCT? I will take this one as the older hiker. I know we got off trail, and this one literally took 2 days off and then started running cross country, and I could barely walk for like a month and a half. So I would say definitely do it. We met some great older folks out there. Just take your time and slow down a little bit.
What do you wish that you had done differently? What did you do that was exactly the right way to approach things? I think the main thing that we wish we did differently was not be on a schedule. Like, the schedule kind of killed us. Yeah. Like, it made the hike miserable at times because we had to bust out these huge days and
It was tough. Our pace was tough. Yeah. And the only time that I really think it was miserable was during the heat wave, because we didn't have the flexibility to take a week off and just say, we're not going to hike in 106 degree weather. So that was really stressful. It's interesting. You're writing up your trail journals into kind of a memoir.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of reading it and editing it for you. And I asked you this week, do you ever just have to stop reading it because you have anxiety?
Yeah.
And I was like reading where we were at a certain point, and I had to stop reading because I had so much anxiety about just like being back in that headspace, and like, I'm not ready to watch videos yet. I'm not ready to read trail journals yet. But it wasn't a bad experience.
Wasn't a bad experience.
But
I find myself, like, when I was editing that little memoir, is like, I was sitting at school doing it,
like,
and I have to take myself out of it and be like, I'm at school, I'm going home today, things are gonna be fine.
What is that?
I have no idea.
Either. I was talking to somebody today on this one, and I think one of the coolest things we did was the rain ponchos.
Yeah.
Someone asked a question that's hiking this next summer, and they were saying, should I bring a ground cloth? And we bought these Anu rain ponchos off Amazon. They were $8. And those doubled as the ground cloth for our tent, our rain gear, and replaced a pack cover because we threw them over everything. Like, that was the way to go, that poncho.
Yeah, ponchos all the way.
Next question, how many miles total did you have to skip during the heat wave? That was the most stressful part of the trip, was Old Station. And then that day we woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning. We were trying to just get up in the dark and hike.
Yeah.
Which we couldn't do because we couldn't get any sleep because you couldn't go to bed until 9:30 because it was so hot.
I think we skipped in a total of, like, once we're done with this section, it'll be about 70, right? Because there were those 2 fire closures. One was 20, one was 50.
Considering the PCT. I consider the PCT to be every mile of trail that you can legally hike. Yeah. And after we go back for these 82 miles, we will have hiked every mile of the PCT that we legally can hike. So, because the fire closures are officially closed.
So we skipped about 102 miles. We did 30 of those, 27. We did, maybe it's a little less than 102.
And that was Santiam Pass to the absolute closure of the Lion's Head. And our intent was to get right off trail in August and go right down and pick up those 4 days in California, and Northern California was closed.
Shut down.
And then all of California was closed. So it's November, baby. I can't believe we're going back out in November.
It'll be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
I can't remember, but did you count your zeros in your total day count?
We did.
I did. 130 days, that includes zeros.
You skipped, what was your average daily miles over the whole trail? So we started right out of the gate doing 20-mile days.
I actually calculated this. It was around 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Was that including zeros?
Including zeros. 130 divided by 2,653.
Okay.
Around 21.
So if we took the zeros out, probably like 24. So we started with 20s. We did state of Washington in 20 days, and every single hiking day was like 28 to 31 miles.
I can't believe we did that in 20
Washington was bonkers.
Washington was
Why did we do that?
Brutal.
Best first aid item.
I'd have to say the best first aid item is those little charcoal pills that you picked up for your acid reflux.
Yeah. I would say Advil and tape. Just Advil and tape. Like blisters are your biggest, or sore spots on your feet are the biggest thing. And yeah, Advil and tape. I was actually considering, like, on this 4-day section, should we only take Advil and tape? Because we carried that whole first aid kit.
Yeah, it's not that heavy. But I might actually have to change my answer. Best first aid item, your sock that we cut the hole off of for my knee. I think that could
That was
be
a
it.
granddaddy salvage.
That
For
was.
sure. Amazing. What do you wish that you would have done that you didn't do along the trail? My wish was I had filming things. I would get deep in my head and just think, I want to film this and I want to film that. I wanted to film a time lapse of us setting up camp and what that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to film a couple more music videos with like song lyrics that I spontaneously rewrote. And by the time we got to Washington, there was very little time for shenanigans. There was so much less time for trail shenanigans.
Yeah.
And it was also harder to talk people into it during their downtime.
Yeah.
Because people tend to think I'm a little bit nuts when I'm like, who wants to film a music video? I'm always down for that.
That person also asked, what do you think you didn't need to do that you did?
Huh.
I can't think of anything.
What do you think you didn't need to do that you did? Probably stress. Like, I look back, I think the reason is when we're reading the trail journals, there's so many times that if I had just known it's gonna be okay, the 20-day heat wave was very stressful. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember lying in Old Station, just melting, being like, we have to go home.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then even getting through Washington, I remember being in Stehekin and talking to a ranger about whether or not we were safe hiking to the border, because the Lion's Head fire started.
No, it was the Mazama fire.
It was the Mazama fire. You're right. The Mazama fire was up there and it was very close to trail. And when the Lion's Head fire happened, the wind shifted and that blew over the PCT in like a night and was explosive and incredibly dangerous and like killed a lot of people in Detroit. So I was pretty gripped about if we were safe or not heading up there.
How did you get your trail names? It seems like you got them on previous hikes.
You got yours on this hike.
I did. I started the trail with the name Camel. We actually never talked about this. We just switched and never told you guys. And you guys, there were a lot of comments who were very confused. I started with the name Camel, and I got that name. We decided to start the trail with names from hiking the Timberline Trail last summer. And I forget to drink water. So my trail name became Camel. But then we got on trail, and Queso, you guys remember Queso, decided that that wasn't my trail name. I wasn't a camel, and he decided that my name, it had to start with a C because we had to keep HRC, but I was just too commanding to be a camel, and he changed it to CEO, or Chief for short.
Because you took over all the logistics, and you would get us around in the morning and be like, listen, we've got a 23-mile day. There's no water until 19 miles, so everyone has to camel up and have this much water at this location, and this is what we're doing. And we were like, cool. I got the name Halo from Razor and formerly Camel, the hiker formerly known as Camel, now Chief, because in the morning I will get up and turn on Halo by Beyonce, and I call it Beyonce Stretch, and make everybody stretch before we walk for the day. And it's always Halo by Beyonce. And if you ever need a stretching song, like, put that song on, spontaneously make up stretching moves, turn it into a really awesome routine, you're welcome.
Yeah. You want to read the next one?
Is this going to be just one trail, or do you think you will do the AT or CDT? And what would you say, other than finishing, was the greatest accomplishment? I have said I'm probably one and done.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard on me. It was really hard on me physically. I ended up on 2 prescription medications. Like, my body was unable to properly digest food while hiking. That was a blind side. But having said that, if I was retired and I had the time to go into September and not be as rushed, I think I might do it again now that I'm 2 months out and I look back and it was definitely type 2 fun.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't do the PCT. Well, I would maybe do the desert again if I had to do a section again. Because
the section we thought we would never want to do.
Yeah.
The desert was cool.
I would do the desert again. Just thinking back, that's the section that I would want to do again. I think it was the section where we actually had the least amount of stress.
I would want to do the desert again and just have a veteran headspace of this is actually totally doable and you can finish and it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And then I might do the AT or the CDT. I think that remains to be seen. If I end up going to college in Boston, that would make it very easy for me to hop on the CDT in the summer. The AT in the summer.
Lash it.
Yeah.
Do it as a bunch of lashes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What would you say, other than finishing, was the greatest accomplishment? I think so many people ask us how it really went down between us as a mother and daughter, and we never fought.
No.
We just get along really, really well. I think I annoy you more than you annoy me, to be fair.
It did threaten to tie you to a tree.
She's
at VBR.
Practically perfect in every way. It's wicked annoying. I think one of my greatest accomplishments was mastering my thoughts. I feel like I spent the entire first 700 miles uncomfortably mentally touching every mistake I've ever made, every conversation where I was awkward. And you're like, wow, this is what it is. Having this much time in your head is just so much negative self-reflection. And then I felt like at a certain point in the Sierras, it was all right, I've examined everything. So self-acceptance, moving on. And I was able to just spend hours alone in my head, not processing negative things, but processing positive things. And that was a huge mental journey.
Yeah. I'd have to say, looking back on who I was before the trail, I think I grew up a lot on the trail, mentally. I stopped really caring very much. I've noticed that at school. Last year it was everything had to be perfect. The hair had to be perfect, the makeup had to be perfect, the outfit had to be perfect. For the school day. I haven't worn makeup a single day this year, to school. I just don't need it. I'll wear sweatpants and a hoodie to school. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think you learn too that the people who are going to love you are going to love you, and the people who aren't, there's nothing you're going to do to change it. So just be yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. I honestly feel like a lot of people end up quitting not because of the physical part of the PCT, but because the mental part is a blind side. Spending so much time alone in your head, that's a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. It's a tough one.
It's tough.
If you were to do it again, what, if anything, would you do differently? Schedule, pace, gear, anything? I loved our gear. Yeah. I wouldn't change anything. Although, I did just order, you don't know this, I ordered us a new tent.
What kind of tent?
It's a new house for us. It's a surprise.
Is it gonna come?
It's gonna come. I ordered it rush mail. We bought a really great tarp tent, but it was for 3 people. And then when Razor left, I just emailed my husband and said, send us our old Flashlight 2 Sierra designs, and it turned out to be a great tent, but we trashed it.
Is it a thru hiking tent? Probably not.
Yeah. But I would buy it again.
For a non-through hiking tent, it held up incredibly well.
And it was old.
We'd
already had many
sell
trips.
It anymore.
Yeah, so it did us a solid Sierra designs. How are you handling being off trail? What has it been like being back at home and back at work and school?
It's been good. I think I adjusted pretty fast.
I've had bouts of like trail sadness, but for the most part, I just really appreciate my life and my roof and like central air and heating.
My bed.
Boiling water.
Like my bed
really
a lot.
wicked fast. Toothbrush and toothpaste right where you left them.
Oh my God.
Flush toilets.
Hot water. You
Food.
just turn the tap and the water is hot. I still can't get over that.
So I'm not super, I haven't at all been in that like, oh my gosh, I missed the trail. I gotta get, there's aspects of like being on trail and the people you meet on trail that I miss. But my whole trail family, like you and Dipper, are here.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Let's do one more. How long did you plan this hike? I would say for through hiking, not very long. I would say max 5 months.
The hardest part about our hike is we didn't know if we were going to be allowed to hike because of COVID.
That's right.
So we spent most of the year in a state of limbo until about January 1st.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching next year's class already get their permits in November and just be excited and plan it out and know that they're going to do it.
That's been weird because like I'm still on the PCT Facebook page. Like there's all these announcements that are like, everyone get your permits and get your permit dates and start signing up, and I'm like,
do you get missing out syndrome a little bit?
I just feel happy for them. I'm
Yeah.
like, they're probably so excited.
They're so excited because we were so excited, but we couldn't really be excited at this point last year because we didn't know if it was a go.
We were trying not to be too excited.
Yeah, we were
We didn't
trying
wanna
to
be
like
disappointed.
cautiously plan, but we didn't pull the trigger on any big purchases until January, when the PCTA was like, "Yep, January 15th, we're gonna have a permit day and we're gonna do it." So then we got excited.
Yeah.
So we kind of did it all in January, February, and March. It was like 3 months of planning.
Yeah.
I thought we did a good job.
Yeah.
I was happy with where we sent boxes.
Oh yeah, I think we did a pretty good job with our boxes. I
Our
would
food
have just
resupplies were on
sent a
point.
box to Old Station.
Yeah,
That's
Old
it.
Station needs a box. Faux show.
Old Station needs a box, and then I think everything else was great.
Yeah. Hey, our next video will be us back on trail, probably freezing. It's gonna be weird. There's gonna be no thru hikers. There's gonna be no trail angels.
gonna be
No
just
one
us.
is gonna be out there, and it's gonna get dark at like 5 p.m.
And I completely forgot what Northern California is like. So
We're not gonna be hot.
we're not
So
gonna
there's
be
that.
hot.
All right, we'll see you out there.